Here we are with David Shaub, animator director from Sony Picture Imageworks, that's right?
That's right, yes.
You work on Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to work with Tim Burton?
Tim is just a great visionary and a great talent, as everybody knows. I mean, he's such an icon in the business. He has enormous respect for everybody that works with him and for him. And I think that really brings out the best of everybody that's working on the project. He was actually living in London, and he actually does live in London, and we were in Culver City, and he came to Culver City in California to do the shoot, and then went back to London for post-production because his family lives there. And I think he was hoping that he could actually do the rest of the production from there. And we tried doing a long-distance relationship where we had video conferencing, and that worked for about 2 months, and then it was just the frustration of the time delay and not really being able to communicate one-on-one. So he actually moved back to the States to the area to actually do the rest of the film there with us, so we could actually have access to him every day. And it was a great experience. You know, once you get his trust, he allows enormous creative freedoms, and I think that's why we were able to get through so much of this show so fast, because we really only had 9 months to do this from the moment we got our first shot until we delivered our last, and it was just a crazy schedule. And it was only possible because of the way because of the trust that Tim had in everybody, all the artists involved.
Okay. What was the work behind the Cheshire Cat's animation? So the smile was a center point, and the floating too. So how did you create it?
Well, we started with we start with different ideas. We just put ideas out there to see and get the creative process happening, just like with the artwork that the character designers do. You don't really know what the director's thinking until you put something out there for him to respond to, and it was that way with the animation as well. We tried different things. It was we very quickly discovered, no, he's never going to walk. Was he going to walk? Sometimes, no, right? And then occasionally, I think there's one shot where we put him on the ground, but other than that, no, he doesn't. He doesn't walk. But then we try different movement styles. And also there's interaction between animation and effects as well, because he actually goes in and out of he appears and disappears, and there's a wispy kind of effect that happens, and it's tied into the animation of the tail, for example. So it isn't just do the animation and then go to the visual effect and let the effects take over. It's very much back and forth, and it was a creative process for everybody all the way through, where animation did some work and effects played into that. We go back, we do more animation, and the two work really well together.
You wanted cats move anyway, not human moves.
Yeah, that was one of the very first things we discovered. So we're going to get the character to talk, and so get him to talk, right? So we try that. We discover very quickly that he needs to behave like a cat, and instead of saying he behaves like a cat, it's more like he did this little tail flick or little ear twitch, and then everything played very, very, very subtly, just with the eyes. And if we could get the character to emote with the eyes without doing any kind of gestures, that's the way he wanted to play it.
Okay. From a cat to a dog, the Bandersnatch eye is a very nightmarish dog, but it also has some cute moments. So
it does.
How did you work on it? How did you develop his movement?
Well, you're talking about the softer side of the Bandersnatch, right? He's a very aggressive character, but then in the stable where he licks Alice's wound, that's the softer side. Looking for the cuteness, the cute qualities of a dog, to try to get those kinds of qualities imparted into the animation, because he's very aggressive and he's got the shark's teeth, and so he's just by nature of his design, he's very aggressive. But trying to impart the qualities of cuteness. And when we got into it, we never knew that we were really going to need to get that level of expression in the character. So a lot of those kinds of shots we ended up kind of designing as the shots were being built, because we realized we needed a lot of subtlety in the eyes and in the other expressions. But we kind of discover that as we go, and we build more complexity into our system to accommodate these kinds of challenges.
The Epsilon is a smoker. And you add the epsilon is a smoker.
It's mocap?
Smoker.
Oh, the smoker. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's a smoker. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you had some problem with that.
We did have some problems with that. Yeah. Well, the classic character from the book is, you know, you look at him in the John Tenniel illustrations. That's who the character is. He sits on the mushroom and he smokes a hookah. But and you would think there'd be no problem. It was all approved, you know, by everyone involved. And then later in production, I think when Disney took a closer look and we were actually getting further down the pipe, you know, some eyebrows were raised and they realized you can't really do that in a Disney film. So I think the rating that we got with the disclaimer of it being a smoking caterpillar is what allowed us to actually put the caterpillar in the film as a smoking character. But yeah, it scared us because we were months away from having to deliver the movie, and a lot of development went into the quality of the smoke and how does it move. And I remember Tim coming in one day and trying to describe what the smoke looked like. And, you know, the effects guys were trying different things, and it was. And then one day he came in with incense and put it up to the projector and kind of waved it around. See that? That's what he wants it to. So that's what he wanted it to look like. And then so the guys latched onto that. The effects guys latched onto that and could really design the smoke to have those qualities. But I was really impressed with the work the effects guys did with that. You know, because Tim wanted the look of incense smoke, and that's exactly what he got. We had to turn it around very fast. Yeah.
Okay. Which scene in the movie is the most impressive for you?
The most impressive, gosh.
Or the scene you like the most?
You know, one of those, I keep going back to it, the frog scene. Just because it's so simple and the animation is so subdued that it really points to the fact you don't need broad gestural performances out of characters to get a great reaction. They're not doing much, and it's all in the performance of the eyes. And it's a surprise because you wouldn't think that it would be such a favorite, but it turned out to absolutely be a favorite for myself and a lot of people, just because it's a funny moment. And then complexity, you know, Jabberwocky stuff is very complex on the battlefield, and so much of that is also being done and decided as we were actually building the sequences. Tea Party is another tricky one because that wasn't figured out until late in the game. You know, everything about it is just incredibly tricky. The scale differences, the relationships between characters is so vast, and so it creates all kinds of perspective problems, and every shot seemed to require some level of trickery in some unique way that you just don't really know what you're getting into until you actually get into the shot and realize how complicated really everything is. And every technique was really used to try to make it all work as one.
Okay, thank you so much, David.
Okay. All right.
Next projects of the studio?
The Green Lantern. I'm working on the Green Lanterns.
Oh.
Yes.
Could you tell us something about it?
I'm not supposed to.
Oh.
I can tell you it features Ryan Reynolds
Mm-hmm.
as the Green Lantern, and it's gonna be big. It releases in the summer, so like Alice, we're going to be very busy until then.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
we
all I
will
can say.
wait for the coming out.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you
good.
so
Thank
much.
you. Okay. All right.